During the 3rd and the 4th season of Ninjago, we actually saw Garmadon take on the role as the ninja's second teacher, serving as the second master in the times where Wu may have been unavailable or may have been evil. And I have to say, I really did enjoy this. Having both of the Spinjitzu brothers come together to form a team for the ninja was honestly really cool, and I did like the dynamic that did come from it, but unfortunately it was very short-lived. But the thing that's come from that is the question of which one of the two was actually a better teacher for the ninja. Of course, in terms of longevity, it has to be Wu. That kind of goes without saying because Garmadon wasn't around for too long. He has had teaching moments within the course of the show beyond those 2 seasons, but for the most part, those were the only 2 where Garmadon did it with pure intentions. So for today's video, I want to take a look back and take a look at how both of them actually approached teaching the ninja when it did come to their individual lessons, and take a look at a begging question: was Garmadon ultimately a better teacher for the ninja than Wu was? Because honestly, I don't think it's as simple as a yes or no answer. But let me not waste any more of your time and let's get into it. Now, the reason why I say that it's not a simple yes or no answer is because Garmadon and Wu have been shown to have very distinct teaching techniques when it does come to the ninja, and you can see it reflected in all of them when you actually do analyze the differences. Throughout the course of the show, Wu has had a very practical approach when it does come to his teachings. When it does come to training to be a ninja or training in the likes of elemental power, Wu has always leaned more towards the physical aspect of things, actually going forth, training, practicing technique, practicing moves, practicing your elemental power in of itself. Wu has always encouraged the physical aspect when it does come to training in the way of the ninja. However, Garmadon has always had more of a spiritual and wise approach when it does come to teachings. Garmadon has never relied on the more physical aspect when it does come to teachings. He's never relied on actual combat in of itself. He's always relied on wisdom and learnings when it does come to their approach, when it does come to moving forward. That's not to say that Garmadon doesn't encourage any sort of combat. Of course, he has had his moments where he hasn't liked it, but on an overall, he has always acknowledged that fighting is a vital aspect when it does come to training. Now, unfortunately, we don't actually have on-screen examples of Wu and Garmadon teaching all of the ninja respectively. That mainly does come from Garmadon in this instance, but it still is the case regardless. But the thing is that it is still definitively the case. It just never made its way onto the screen. But the thing is that there is one very important example when it does come to the differences in the teaching between the Spinjitzu brothers, and that is how they handled Lloyd in the earlier seasons of the show. They actually are showing the perfect balance on how they approach teachings when it does come to Lloyd. Let's start with Wu, for example. Wu has always encouraged Lloyd to actually take place in the physical training aspect when it does come to bringing up his skills, even as far back as when he was just a kid. But the thing is that he has never strayed away from the same formula, and no matter what it was going to be, it was always going to involve some physical aspect of training. We have seen many scenes of Wu actually encouraging the physical side of Lloyd's training, whether that is just between him and Lloyd himself, or maybe even it involves the ninja. There have been many scenes over the course of the seasons where Lloyd has actually personally faced off against all 4 of them, and this was, by all accounts, with Wu's permission, as he was observing these training sessions. So Wu has definitely been at the side of training Lloyd physically is going to be what gives him the strength to actually make him push forwards. And hey, by all accounts it does work, because the little stuff, even as small as breaking a light bulb, is definitely proven to be effective when it does come to Wu and also Lloyd. I say a light bulb because I'm thinking of Double Trouble. The fact that he broke a light bulb with Jay is the reason why the ninja actually succeeded in their mission when it does come to that episode. The only way they defeated the Bizarro ninja was because Lloyd realized that he could break a bulb. And I do think that actually kind of works weirdly in Wu's favor. These really little and small details have been very helpful in the ninja's day-to-day activities. I love that, and I honestly think by some weird sort of coincidence, Wu kind of intends on that to be the case. But then we do turn to Garmadon. We turn to how Garmadon approached Lloyd when it does come to those seasons. Garmadon has always been open and honest with the ninja, and like I said, in particular Lloyd. Lloyd has always had some form of wisdom being imparted on him when it does come to his father, and it is no better represented than when Garmadon was training Lloyd in terms of his golden power. When Lloyd and Garmadon were on their mission to actually get away from the Overlord, we saw Garmadon actually do a lot of training in terms of Lloyd's abilities, but there was one thing in particular. Garmadon did not want Lloyd to use his abilities whatsoever. He was teaching him how he could utilize them, the techniques and the potential, but never in the actual practicality aspect. He believed that Lloyd simply didn't need to do it. He believed that Lloyd could accomplish what he needed to do without actually using his elemental power. It was all about the wisdom, the spiritual aspect of it, and I really do like that. Garmadon was always teaching that there is an alternative solution, there's something else that you could always do. The art of the silent fist, for example, fighting without fighting. Of course, there is a practical aspect to that technique, but by all definition, it is quite literally not fighting. It is just simply evasion, and I really like that. I like the fact that Garmadon was trying to teach a whole different aspect. He was trying to teach a different side on how to approach an enemy. He was trying to teach a whole new side of elemental power, and I really do think that's reflective in how Lloyd treated things from there onwards. Yes, Lloyd did continue to utilize his elemental power, he did continue to utilize all the techniques that he has learned from Wu, but when the time came, he did utilize the teachings of his father. I mean, look no further than Season 9. The fact that Lloyd utilized the art of the silent fist against Garmadon to get rid of his power, I think is the perfect callback. Lloyd would not have done that, in my opinion, if it wasn't for the teachings of Garmadon. The teachings that are very different to Wu. Wu would have just taught Lloyd essentially to go head first and actually defeat his enemy. Of course, there are other teachings that Wu has given, such as to defeat an enemy you can make them your friend, but I do think that's kind of beside the point. Of course, a big aspect is just going to be going in and fighting, and Wu did that in Season 9, so it does show that there is a duality to teachings, and I do find that amazing to see. But like I said, Lloyd is just such a perfect example on how the duality of teachings can really affect someone. The practicality of it versus the spirituality of something is really a different approach, and I do think it is perfectly reflected within those seasons. But that's the thing, does that make Garmadon or Wu a better teacher? I will say before we continue, I want to make it abundantly clear that both of them do have both sides of the spectrum. I do think both of them do the opposite thing when it does come to certain scenarios. But the point is always that Wu has always leaned more towards practicality and Garmadon always did lean towards spirituality. That is by definition the case. It's just they both know how to adapt. But I think that is kind of the answer to its own question. I do think that kind of answers what I've set out in this video, because I don't think you can compare the two. Yes, there is an argument for both, and I do think both of them is what serves to be the perfect blend of teaching when it does come to the ninja team. But I don't think it by all account makes one better than the other. I don't think teaching one of the ninja in the way of the more spiritual aspect outweighs teaching them in the practical aspect. I don't think you can have one without the other. I don't think you can do what the ninja do without both sides of these teachings. And I think that is the ultimate case of this argument. I don't think you can have one that's better than the other because they've both served as different sides of balance. Ninjago as a core concept has always relied on balance, and I do think in a really weird way the Spinjitzu brothers have accomplished that when it does come to teaching the ninja team. I think they have both encompassed both sides of the yin-yang and have actually both accomplished a perfect balance of the spiritual and the physical aspect of being what a ninja is. And beyond that, beyond what makes an elemental power, or what makes confidence, or what makes these techniques effective, I think Wu and Garmadon have both actually succeeded in fully accomplishing what the ninja need to know. I think that all of the ninja have just been completely changed by the fact that they do now understand both sides of what actually makes a ninja, what makes a spinjitzu master, what makes an elemental master, and you can see it reflected in future seasons. The ninja always know when to rely on the physical side of what they know, but also when to lean in on the spiritual side, when to lean in on the teachings and the wisdoms that they have learned. I think they know exactly when both need to be utilized, and I don't think they would have been able to accomplish it without both Wu and Garmadon to support them along the way. And that is why I think by all accounts the question of is Garmadon a better teacher than Wu, or is Wu a better teacher than Garmadon, ultimately kind of wrong. I don't think the question inherently works, and I hope this video has demonstrated that. I hope the fact that this video has really shown that both sides are completely important when it does come to the ninja team. So they're not better than one or the other. I guess that is kind of the answer. Is Garmadon better than Wu? No. Is Wu better than Garmadon? No. Because they're both the perfect side of balance, and they both have made the ninja team that we know today. But what do you think of this explanation? Do you like my idea on how the two have balanced out the ninja team and what makes them both amazing masters? I would like to know your thoughts, and I would like to know if you want to expand on it on yourself. I can't wait to see what kind of thoughts and ideas you guys have that come from this. But thank you very much for watching the video, and I do hope you enjoyed. And if you did enjoy, please consider subscribing. I love talking about Ninjago with more people. And if you do want to support the channel any further, which you do not have to, you could always become a channel member and join the legends that you do see on screen. Thank you to each and every single one of you. Your support means the absolute world to me. But apart from that, thank you very much and take care. Okay,